All right, first off, if you didn't watch my last video, watch that first because I'm going to address some things here and say thank you to everyone that sent their well wishes with my mom passing away. Addressing that last video I made, and just the number of people that came out just to talk with me. Like, obviously we're not talking face to face, but a number of the comments that people left saying, like, I feel your pain. I was in the same situation when a loved one, a parent, a grandparent, even some of you said you lost a sibling. And it was just so comforting to hear. Well, I don't take comfort in knowing your loved one died, but to see that you had a similar feeling that I had when your loved one was suffering for a long time, and that you too had a similar feeling that I felt in. It was so much relief rather than sadness being the overwhelming thing. Like, granted, you feel sad as well, but to see someone suffering and see them go, that so many of you said you felt the same way I did, because I was feeling kind of guilty that, I'm just not like, just completely a crippled, disheveled mess when it was all said and done with my mother. And I needed that talk with people, like, even though we're not face to face and you guys are just leaving comments. And I read every single comment on that video, every single one. And I needed that because obviously I'm not going to go out and, talk in a loved one's lost group or something like that. And, it was a very, very cathartic process that I needed, because, talking about and getting an understanding from people that have been in that similar situation that I was in just a couple of days ago, it was a good talk, and it was a needed talk. And I'm glad so many people reached out with similar situations, because that's got to be a rough thing as well, just to even bring that back up in your life. And the fact that so many of you reached out, I just want to say thank you. And it was one of the real moments that I will treasure here, that my 12, 13-year experience here on YouTube has garnered. So thank you. That aside here, I just want to talk about quarantine and, like, what have people been doing? Are people scared? Are people, like, feeling better that the country's going to open back up? And if it does, how? But before we get into all that, I want to talk about just some things, like some positives and negatives that have come from this whole quarantine. The first positive I want to talk about is that post Malone Nirvana tribute from a couple days ago, 2-3 days ago, whatever it was. Oh my God. If you're a fan of Nirvana, I don't care if you think Post Malone is the biggest douchebag-looking mofo that walked out on the block with his ridiculous tattoos, and you go, like, I'm never going to listen to anything this guy says. He looks like such a douche. Forget all that. Don't judge that book by its cover. If you have an ounce of Nirvana fandom in you, watch that tribute he did. They did, it was like 14, 15 Nirvana songs, covered a lot of their big hits, and I want to kind of diverge off into just a different path, even though it's still on topic here. They didn't do Smells Like Teen Spirit. Now, a lot of people would be upset with hearing that. Like, that's Nirvana's biggest song, man. That's their most iconic song. How can you not do Smells Like Teen Spirit in a tribute set to them? Here's why, and I don't care who this was doing this tribute show. Here's why, and this goes for any artist out there with their biggest song in the group or individual performer. When they're an iconic group like Nirvana, because Nirvana basically changed the industry. When Smells Like Teen Spirit came out, every single hair band died the next day. Like, literally, hair band music couldn't be found on the dial anywhere on the radio. Like, that's how iconic and industry changing just that one song was. And that album, Nevermind. That's how much of an impact it was. Okay, when a group that's like a Nirvana or like a Michael Jackson with like the song Thriller, you can't cover those songs. Those songs are what they are. Now, if you're an icon in the industry, like, say, like Whitney Houston, and you take like a lesser known song and make it yours, a lesser known song from another artist like Dolly Parton's "I Will Always Love You," because let's be real, the majority of us out here didn't even hear of that Dolly Parton song before Whitney Houston turned it into a phenomenon. Okay, Whitney Houston is one of, whether you like her music or not, she's one of the biggest, best singers in the industry, and she took a lesser known song from a popular artist and turned it into something iconic. Okay? Now, you're not going to hear Whitney Houston go out and sing 9 to 5 by Dolly Parton, which is arguably her biggest hit. I would say it is, without a shadow of doubt, her biggest hit, because Dolly Parton's version of 9 to 5 is fine. John Lennon's Imagine is fine. They are perfect songs the way they are. They don't need to be resung by a bunch of celebrities on, making a Twitter video. And I don't even want to get into the whole Imagine thing with the celebrities. But anyway, when an artist kills it with a song and it becomes iconic, like John Lennon's Imagine, like Nirvana's Teen Spirit, like Michael Jackson's Thriller, don't make it again. You don't need to make it again. You don't need to pay homage to it by singing it. And that's what Post Malone did. They did a lot of some of the lesser known, but a lot of the bigger hits too of Nirvana. But man, they didn't do Smells Like Teen Spirit, nor should they. But anyways, watch that Post Malone 14, 15 song tribute set that they did to Nirvana for the benefit the World Health Organization. It was just incredible. I got the chills watching that. And I could really give a care less about Post Malone. I'm not really into their stuff, but I think the guy's cool. He's a real down to earth guy, but I never really got into his music. But that being said, he killed it. I got back into wrestling, specifically with AEW, but oh my God, this empty arena shit, I cannot get into this no crowd wrestling. The ratings are obviously agreeing with me. AEW had a really hot product, and their audience is almost cut in half. I mean, I'm still watching Dynamite every week, but it went from watching it every Wednesday night to getting to it Sunday, maybe Monday, after it originally airs. I mean, it is what it is, and they're keeping things going, and it's great and all in a way, but it's also not great in a way because you're just rubbing your face in the whole quarantine, don't come face to face with people, and they're coming face to face with each other, obviously, in wrestling, but which leads into the whole, when will you feel safe having society go back or take steps to go back to where it was? Because I see and hear all these protests around the country, and I get people's frustrations, but there's also the understanding of, if COVID is not gone and there's no way to really treat it if you have it, especially if you're elderly and you have it, of keeping you from dying, then how can you really refunction in any sort of normal way society used to be? But the frustrations, and I'm speaking from someone who is very financially well off, but when the majority are the working class out there that are just flat out of money, need to work to help pay the mortgage, to help keep the lights on and stuff like that, and they're seeing that, well, I'd be willing to take the chance of going back to work in society, and it's the elderly that should really be, that are mostly not in the working class, are the ones that shouldn't be meandering about in society. And I gotta say, that's a very valid argument. It's not necessarily one I agree with, because again, you're keeping COVID active and you're bringing it back into homes, into areas where it is going to affect elderly or just anyone in general, because you don't have to be elderly to die from this. But I hate to break it to people, whether you like it or not, society is just going to have to start going back to some way of normalcy comparative to what it once was before COVID, whether we like it or not, because that majority working class is going to get their way eventually. And that's just the facts of the matter, guys. It's kind of scary, but I'll also understand when it does get to that point. Because again, it's like, you can't just live on bailout checks forever. But then again, you can only thin society so much. And if people keep dropping off, or if rates of COVID just shoot right back up when we try to open businesses and whatnot back up and people start going face-to-face more often in public, then it's like, well, okay, we got to shut everything back down, and it can't open up until there's some sort of cure or just complete evaporation of all COVID cases. It's just, I understand. I don't want things to open back up personally, but I understand if the majority gets their way. I do. I don't want it to be like that, but I do, because, man, if you just want to work for a living and you want to take that chance, again, it's a selfish choice in a lot of ways, because you're helping spread it to others. But man, I understand how frustrated you must be to just not be able to help provide for your loved ones. Like, I get it, but I don't know. I don't think there's any real absolute right or wrong answer right now. But anyways, what else? My God, I played Final Fantasy 13 again. Just something to kill the time. And God, Hope is such a worthless character. I just want to throw that in. Hey, probably the most worthless character in Final Fantasy history. And I'm about to get a PS4 because that Final Fantasy VII Remake looks dope as all hell. When they first announced it, and I saw, they showed that opening trailer for it, and that's all you got, and it's like, okay, looks pretty good. And then when they announced it was going to be a multiple game set, I was like, ugh. They're just doing this to be greedy. They're just gonna make this game. It's gonna be a passable game, and they're just gonna make 3 or 4 volumes out of it. But man, it looks like they did this shit right. Like, they look like they did a bang up job on it, and it doesn't look a lot. I think Final Fantasy 15 is garbage. I'm sorry if you like it, but it doesn't look like Final Fantasy 15. It does look similar, but it doesn't also. Anyway, Final Fantasy 7, for those of you that didn't grow up in the time of gaming, you need to realize what a revolutionary game that was. If I could just be the old grandpa here with the gray beard and lecture you all for a second. Gather around, kids. Final Fantasy VII, all right, when the PlayStation hit the market in 1802, people were just like, Sony's making a video game system? Who cares? But then you hear they got the rights to the next Final Fantasy game, and Final Fantasy 6 or 3 was dope as all hell. And you're like, how is 7 not coming on a Nintendo console? But then you realize it's going to be on discs. It's going to be pure, crisp, clean audio. Full rendered audio tracks. Oh my God, the music was great in it. It's a 4-disc set. What? Like, you hear all these things right away. It's like, oh my God, I got to get my ass a PlayStation. I would argue that Final Fantasy VII is one of the absolute main reasons why Sony is on top of the video game industry today. Do you not agree with that? all you fellow graybeards like me. Um, but I've seen a couple of bits and a couple segments of walkthroughs on it, and I'm like, yeah, it does pay a good bit of homage to the original game, but it modernized it a hell of a lot as well. And I'm probably gonna get a PS4 just to get that game, or wait till the PS5 comes out and get a PS4 for like $10. Anyway, so yeah, what games have you guys been playing out there? Because I'm about to just reconquer the God of War series. Started reading the Harry Potter books, and I'm already 200 pages into the Order of the Phoenix, so I got 2 more books after that, and I'll have to fill that time void with something else. Yeah, so I'm gonna get a PS4 probably, kind of, sort of. I don't know. We'll see. What are you guys doing out there to keep busy? Did you see the Post Malone thing? Do you agree that Final Fantasy VII made Sony the dominant name in the gaming industry? Shut up, Xbox fans. And Nintendo. Let me just end on a final note, because the number one time consumer in my life right now is watching Mario Maker 2 videos. And that last update, the last final huge update for Mario Maker 2 that just came out, and I don't even own a Switch. I've never even owned a Wii. That adding the whole Super Mario Brothers 2 mushroom, changing the game with the boomerang and the little triple fly box and the boom box and the... Anyways, this addition to the Super Mario Maker 2 game, this update, was incredible. Was incredible. And to Nintendo's credit, they've created a console that, here it has been out for over a year, you can't find it on the shelves. Like, it's still selling like hotcakes. How does Nintendo keep doing it? My God. Nintendo was selling it on the store shelves when I was 7 years old. And here I am, 92, and you can't find it on the shelves anywhere now. Incredible. Anyway, guys, I just wanted to try to get my mind off of the whole mother thing. Thank you, guys. And then just try and delve back into a normal style Archfiend video. So hopefully got off on enough of a tangent here that you feel somewhat entertained in an Archfiend sort of way. Anyway. Guys, I'll hopefully be back with you in the very near future with something else. And maybe someone will make a really shitty rendition of 14 Nirvana songs, and I could bitch about it now, not praise it like I did with Post Malone. Anyways, have a good day, a better tomorrow. Catch you on the flip side, or the non-flip side. That is all. Oh, I didn't hit the stop button in time. It's not cool now.